South Georgia. Now I'm here with Worth County head coach Jeff Hammond. It is so great to have you back on Beyond
So
the
glad
Whistle.
you're back here.
It has been way too long since I've been back here in Ram Country, but we're going to talk about a little bit about Berrien and the transition from last year to this season. You guys were 2-2 this time last year, or no, you guys were 4-0 this time last year. Sorry, and then now you're 2-2. Talk to me about the differences you've seen between this team and last year's team.
Well, last year's team, we were learning how to win and got into a couple close games early in the season, and the ball bounced our way. Several of those games we could have easily lost, but we didn't. This year's group, I think a little bit drinking the Kool-Aid. There have been a couple games where we went out and thought we were a little bit better than what we really were, and forgot that we had to play hard and have to execute. Yeah. And when you don't execute and you don't go in there and you go in there with a big head, you don't always get the outcome you want.
Going into your first region game against Berrien, obviously y'all have watched film all week long. Y'all have prepared for this game as you do for every game, but what are the biggest challenges that you guys are going to face on Friday that y'all have really been talking about in practice?
Well, it's playing quality football, number one. Berrien's a good football team. I know their scores hadn't indicated it and their record doesn't indicate it, but they're young like us. They play extremely hard. They're physical in the box. We're going to have to match that physicality. We have to be really good on third downs and not let them chew up clock. And when we get opportunity to score, we're going to have to score.
Yeah. And talk to me about the quarterback position. Chip Cooper last year was our Offensive Player of the Year for South Georgia TV, CBS 44. But now you have a fresh new quarterback, Lyndon Worthy, who has replaced Chip. So what do you think of his performance so far this season as just a freshman?
Well, sometimes he plays like a upperclassman, and sometimes he plays like a freshman, and that's as easy as I can say it, because he's got to get more consistent, and he's very intelligent. He goes through his process really well. He throws a nice, accurate football, but sometimes it's understanding the moment. And it's tougher on him than it was Chip, because Chip always had the ability to get us out of trouble with his legs. When pocket broke down or we had this going on, he could extend plays or even run for a little bit. Lyndon has to spread the ball around. He's not going to beat you with his legs, and he understands that. But he's got to make sure he takes care of the football and keeps getting it to the right guys.
Yeah. And as a head coach, is that an adjustment? Coaching a veteran quarterback like Chip, who was a senior last year, and that was your first quarterback you've had here at Worth County as far as being the head coach. So is that an adjustment going from a senior quarterback to a freshman quarterback? And as a head coach, how do you kind of, adjust? Do you adjust your coaching strategy? Do you adjust how you take them on?
It's not the age, it's their skill level. Things we did with Chip, we don't do with Lyndon. And there's things that we're able to do with Lyndon that we didn't do with Chip. And it's more about making sure the playbook is centered around what they can do well. And sometimes we can't do things like, there's some things this week I like, well, we had Chip, this is there and this is there, but you don't bring it in because we don't have it.
Yeah. And going into your first region game of the season, do you guys change kind of the way you practice? Is practice more intense going into region than it was in the regular season, or do you use the regular season time to still crunch down and prep as much as you would during region and then eventually playoff time?
Well, the beauty about it is the heat. In the non-region games, we're fighting the wet bulb and having to do things so we stay under the law. We get more quality time now because it's not as hot, and they're not getting so tired by just standing out here. But we treat every day about the same. That's our routine. We're going to be very, very physical on Monday and Tuesday, and it's a longer practice. Wednesdays are more special teams and team oriented, and Thursdays are getting the mind right to go play Friday.
Yeah. And since we're now halfway through the regular season, as a head coach, are there specific things you begin to look for in practice that you didn't pay much attention to, or really didn't have the need to pay attention to it in the regular season? It could be at skill level, it can be, just anything in general. Are there any specific things that you begin to look for when it comes to region play?
To be honest with you, we look for practice to be like games. And they need to be able to compete way before Friday nights. Because we're not good enough to go out there and just turn it on Friday night and expect us to play well. And finding the importance of every rep and them going back and watching film and critiquing themselves and saying, I didn't do this well yesterday, let's come in out there and let's do this better today. So those things is how we look at practice.
And we talked about Lyndon, but let's talk about D for a little bit. He's had a great season. He really has. I mean, I don't think we could have expected anything less or less from him. He's a great wide receiver. I think he's averaging 95 yards a game at this point. So talk to me about D and the growth that you've seen from him as a sophomore, just to the mid-season.
Well, last year we had 2 quality receivers. Parker Weaver and D, they did some good things, and you kind of fed off each other. Now this year, our next 3 guys are not any less quality, but they don't have a whole lot of experience. And when you go into a game, the opposing staff's going to know where 8 is every snap, and he's going to get his targets. And him to be able to people know we're going at him, and they're going to have a game plan for him, and still be able to run good routes and control his body and make the grabs. That speaks highly for him.
We've talked about, D and Lyndon on the offensive side of the ball, but let's flip to the other side. What defensive players have really stood out to you this year and have been playmakers for you guys?
Tyler Fulton's probably been the center of our D-line as a sophomore. He started as a freshman and probably threw him in there last year when he really wasn't ready. But this year he's grown up tremendously. He plays very aggressive, does a great job controlling his gaps and using his hands. Our linebacker core, our 2 stack backers, Hunter Barber and Bernard Murphy, they play 90 miles an hour. They're a little undersized, but they end up making a ton of plays. So those 3 and Kelton Velez, our outside linebacker, he pretty much sets the tone for us. So we got some guys that are making a lot of plays and really setting the tone, wanting to be physical and going up and playing really good defense. But we got defensively and offensively, our better players got to play better. And we got kids with offers and all that, and that's the key. And it's a lot of pressure. So we looking at it, we need to go in this region, our better players have to play good and give us a chance.
You mentioned the word pressure. This is your 2nd year as head coach, and you had a phenomenal first year, And do you feel a little added pressure this year? Considering the season you had last year, do you feel like that there's expectations and things that you have to live up to and your team have to live up to?
To me, pressure is what I'm going to put on myself. I want 8 wins a season as standard. To get to where our kids understand that not playing on Thanksgiving is not a good year. For last year, it was a good year for Worth County because we've been down for several years, but that's not the standard. And so we had a good group, we had a good run last year, but we need to piggyback off that and take the next step forward. So that's the pressure of knowing where we need to get to and knowing we're not there yet, but it's very capable in the future.
Yeah. And what are those takeaways that you had from last year or that you really noticed last year? You were like, in order to reach that 8-game goal next year, we've got to change this, and this. What are the takeaways from last year that you've really been implementing and stressing this year? Well,
it's first thing is strength level. It's that we're not going to beat a real good football team as long as they can push us around. And that's not going to get fixed overnight. So that and understanding the type of community we have, the type of player we have, is nutrition. We've done it. My Booster Club has done an extremely good job, and the community volunteering. We feed them supper 5 nights a week, feed them breakfast every morning. So that's things that we've been able to supplement that some of these kids normally wouldn't have it at home, and that's really, really good.
And kind of getting towards the end, this is your 2nd year, right? So. In the amount of time that you've been here in Worth County, what has become your favorite part about being here? Favorite tradition or just your favorite thing about being the head coach of this football program?
Well, the favorite tradition, I used to hate it at everywhere else I played, but scoring and that cannon going off. That's the best thing. And
you either love it or you hate it.
And I've hated it my whole career. And now I want to hear boom. I want to hear boom every game about 50 times.
Yeah. And how has it really been, developing a relationship with the community? Now, Me, just in my first year last year, we both had a first year last year. It was my first year in TV down here, your first year as a head coach. But what I really noticed about Worth County is the community. I mean, they just rally around these boys. Like, our Game of the Week polls, like, shoot up every time Worth County is on it. Well, so talk to me about that in your experience.
The community is unbelievable. They really have welcomed us with open arms. They believe in our vision. They are so proud, a proud community about our athletic programs, and not just football, every athletic program, in that we're trying to do our best to hold ourselves accountable for them, and because they are our backbone.
And my very last question is, with this, you said you're a very young team, which means you get to develop a lot of kids, right? And they get to be with you for a while before they head to the next level. But before they get to that next level, what's really one thing outside of football that you want these kids to learn, live, love, learn, know, that they're going to implement the rest of their life?
Well, I mean, life's going to kick you in the teeth. It is. I mean, it's not easy, and it's not going to be fair, and bad things are going to happen. And hopefully, with how we coach and how we hold them accountable and all the adversity they're going to see at any practice or at any Friday night, they have that tool to handle adversity. So 10 years from now, that something bad happens, they can look back, well, I've been through something like that, and knowing I came out the other side for the better, and this ain't the end. So if I can get that taught and they can go through life a high character, then I've done my job.
Is there anything else you want to say about Friday's game or the rest of the season?
Nope.
All righty, well, thank you so
You're
much
welcome.
for being here with me.
You're welcome.
All right. See you guys next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow me on all my social medias to keep up with future episodes of Beyond the Whistle. See you guys next time.